I'm walking around and I couldn't remember for the life of me his name, so I just started yelling Silicon Valley, Silicon Valley.
Oh my gosh.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of An Interesting Discussion Sometimes. Today I'm here back with the regular boys. That's Haran, Harsha, and Christian. And today we have a very special guest. It is my first roommate after college. His name is Ajay. There's a lot to know about Ajay, which we'll get into today. But Ajay, do you want to introduce yourself to the podcast?
Yeah, what's going on, people? I was telling these guys right before we started recording how blessed and how grateful and how honored I am to be on this award-winning podcast.
Oh,
if no awards have been won, soon to be award-winning. So thank you to all of you for having me on. I'm excited to get to know all of you guys a bit more as well, because Tarun has mentioned all of your guys' names so many times. I mean,
that can't be good.
Nah, I mean, 2 weekends ago, Harsha was like the first. I met Haran before in LA, but Harsha was like the first one to be like, okay, like this is what he looks like, to all the stories that Tarun was telling me. So
Yep.
I'm excited to get to interact with Christian and Haran a bit more as well.
Yeah. Did Harsha live up to expectations?
He did. I mean,
okay, good
Tarun prepped me in saying that Harsha is like a very, very funny guy. And when when we were going out and about, Harsha definitely lived up to that. So
But
Okay. Good to know.
Christian with the skepticism.
Hey. Just saying. He's got a good ratio, but you got vocalize a bit more, Harsha. Come on, man.
That's okay.
Here we go.
hopefully this podcast... Actually, no, never mind. I was going to say hopefully it meets your expectations, but it won't.
Yeah, they're crazy high.
Anyway, Ajay, do you want to tell everyone how we kind of got linked up together to become roommates in New York the past, starting a month ago?
Yeah. So I was living in LA at the time, and my lease was was coming up to an end, and I was starting to think about where I wanted to move next. And I think similar to Tarun, New York was on the list, but I knew absolutely nobody who was also going to move to New York at the same time as me. So I hit up our very good mutual friend, Nazaline. I just texted her and I was just like, hey, like, do you know anybody who might be moving to New York around like March? And she was like, yeah, actually, there's this guy named Tarun, who I think you've actually met before. He came to LA. And I remember like when she showed me photos, I was like, oh yeah, it's like this guy. And the only reason why I like distinctly remember Tarun was because of the frames, because of the glasses. And he was taking these like hella fly ass photos while we were in the clubs and stuff. And so then I was like, all right, shit, let me shoot him a text and maybe we'll hop on a FaceTime, see what this guy is like, because I haven't had like a great success rate in terms of roommates in the past. So definitely a little hesitant. But yeah, I still remember our first FaceTime call. It went like way better than I thought. That was one where I actually had genuine low expectations for.
Yeah, we talked for like 3 hours, and once I got here, his girlfriend...
Wait, 3 hours? Holy shit. That is
it was
long.
a long-ass call, dude.
Yeah.
You never talked to us for 3 hours.
Yeah,
I think I've talked to you 3 hours
That's
before.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, his girlfriend Neha was saying that separate Neha to who we mentioned
we have to
before,
clarify.
but his girlfriend mentioned that like it was like we were on a date when she heard that like we were talking for so long.
She's like, she's never talked to me that long. What's your
She's like worried.
I mean, when you think about it, it was like almost like the
sure.
questions, right? Like we asked like, all right, so like, what do you do? What do you like? What's your daily routine? It was like a lot of questions that I honestly, like I didn't realize until like midway through our conversation. I was like, shit, what did I ask Neha when I went on my first date? What's your favorite color?
I think we actually did talk about that at some point, but we got everything in within 3 hours.
We did. I remember just like, what are like your quirks, or what are like your pet peeves? All these things. So we definitely got a lot a lot of information exchanged that one night.
Yeah, going back to that, I mean, I feel like I remember when we first were on the call, you were saying that how like you were OCD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like now that we've been living together for like a month, I don't think you're that like OCD, or maybe it's something that you've been keeping like, to yourself. I don't know. But
It's funny that you mentioned that, because the other day I was actually thinking about that. And I think I was at least I said I was really OCD because my roommate at the time in LA was pretty messy, and I had to like always like kind of clean up after him and stuff like that. And I think, moving into New York, I kind of reflected and said to myself, like, damn, I'm not doing like half the shit I used to like back in LA. So maybe that's why the OCD isn't showing as much.
But okay,
but I can't complain. That's a great problem to have.
So yeah, for those of you who don't know, Ajay grew up in the Bay. He's a big Cali guy.
Yes.
After talking to you for like the past month extensively about it, I feel like the Bay is not that different to Nova, right? Like how would you say that? How was it growing up there?
Which side of the Bay did you grow up?
I grew up in South Bay in Cupertino. So yeah, East Bay, where Fremont and everyone, a lot of the other Indian people are at. Whack. South Bay is where it's at. But yeah, I would say from a lot of the stories you told me about Nova, a lot of these TJ kids and everything, we definitely had our fair share of characters too. Yeah. We had some people that were almost like a larger than a movie script type of figure. But yeah, I think very similar. I think, honestly, I met more Telugu people in the last like 1 month than I did pretty much my entire life growing up in the Bay. So yeah, man, I love it. But
you're home?
Yeah. I love meeting y'all. I don't know if I can say the same about the Bay. I'm good about the Bay. I honestly, I've told many people this because I get the question asked of like if I would ever move back. That question being asked the most by my mom. But but I honestly, I'm good. The Bay was good to me. I met a lot of people, but I personally don't ever see myself moving back there.
How far is Cupertino from Palo Alto? I mean, I've heard the city name, but I don't even know where it is.
I mean, it's 15 minutes. You
shit, okay, that's cool.
You take 85 north and then take 101 north and then take El Camino Real and you're right there.
El Camino Real.
Yeah.
Roads.
I always went north. I never actually went to like San Jose or any of that area, I guess. I don't know what to say off.
Unless you are in a desperate need of some boba, there's no need for you to.
There's no need to go down there.
There's no need to come down to us.
Fair
in
enough.
all honesty, yeah.
Did you end up going to SF often when you were young, or did you kind of just stay in like the South Bay area?
So it wasn't really until high school where I started going to San Francisco a lot, and I think for a lot of people growing up in South Bay, they saw like San Francisco as like a completely different world. And there was this idea of the triangle that a lot of like South Bay kids kind of grow up with, which is you grow up in South Bay and then you go to school in the East Bay, which is typically UC Berkeley. And then after college, you make your way across the Bay Bridge to San Francisco. And then once you want to live a bit more domesticated life, you start making your way back to South Bay. So if you look at the map, it's almost like a triangle, right? But yeah, no, SF, we used to go quite often, I'd say starting senior year of high school. And yeah, I mean, honestly, at one point in time, I wanted to live in SF. I'm sure 99% of my friends wanted to live in SF. But I travel to SF now for work, and the more I travel there, I'm like, I'm good. I think pre-COVID, it must have been a really different world, but post-COVID, it's not the greatest, in my opinion.
Is it the shit on the floor, or is there something else that?
I honestly think it's the liveliness. I think because a lot of the tech companies have like embraced this remote work culture, you just don't have people that are
out on the streets.
Yeah, out on the streets.
I guess there are a lot of people out on the streets, but they just live on the streets, which is like a different problem about SF.
Yeah, I mean, I go to SF, I would say maybe like every other month or so. And my office is on Market Street, which is like, or Mission Street, which is like a very, very busy street. Like you have like pretty much every big name company within like a 1 mile radius of where my office is at. And I remember just going on a walk around lunchtime and it's pretty empty. And for San Francisco, for this being like a big metropolitan city, it's dry. So if it sucks to just kind of work there, I can't imagine living there.
Have you noticed anything like that in New York? Like since you've been there, like, I mean, there's such a high concentration of people, but I don't know. I think it's still very popular to do work from home. So do you notice something similar?
I think just because the density is so much higher, for me, it's like almost like a unfair comparison to SF. Right. Because with SF, it's really small. I think it's a lot smaller than most people think it is, or it's a lot smaller than people. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you can get from one end of the city to the other within, 15 minutes. Whereas New York, the scale of New York, I think it always shocks me. Whereas SF, I think the next time I go to SF, I'm gonna be like, damn, bro, like this shit is like, this is like a diet, this is like a 7-day trial of New York, like this
super trial.
It's like super, minimized, way less people, way more shit. So yeah. Haran, you're at Stanford, right? So
I was at Stanford I was there for 2 years, but I was only living in Palo Alto for 1 year. So I went into SF like, I would say like once a month for like 5 months. I probably went there for like 5 times in my like over like 6-7 month period. But
okay,
I had a good time, but I think it was more about the people there that I met than maybe like the liveliness. Also, like I don't care too much about like, I guess 'cause I'm not living there, so I'm just there for the weekend. So like I don't really care too much about the liveliness of the city as long as like I'm with people that I like have a fun time with. I don't really care about my surroundings too much, I guess. But I actually enjoyed it, I would say. I think that also had to do with the fact that I feel like I vibed a lot more with people in the city than I did like people at school. So I guess that kind of played into it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd see myself like going back like every now and then when I'm in LA to SF to like go hang out with those squad people. But yeah, I mean, I've met a lot of people that also do not like the city, so you're not alone with that.
That's not to say that like SF doesn't have its own charm.
I think it's also different when you try to like compare about like living, like, consider yourself living there than like just like visiting for like a weekend kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I feel like I've just been on like a 5-minute just bagging random SF. Just like SF sucks. No, I mean it's just not my cup of tea. But yeah, I mean that's not to say that it doesn't have its own charm. It has amazing food. I think during the spring and the summer when the sun's out, SF is just amazing because it's so like beautifully aesthetic and whatnot. But yeah, I think actually maybe one of the biggest reasons why my appeal or lack of appeal towards SF is just growing up in the Bay. I think a lot of the personalities are very similar for the people that you meet. Whereas, living in LA, living in New York, I feel like I get a bit more diversity that aligns with the type of people I want to surround myself with.
Yeah.
So
do you want to give it a quick rating out of 10?
SF? I'm going to give it a light 6.5.
That's higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, a light 6.5. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, if I'm ever back in the Bay, I'll put it like this: if I'm back in the Bay and my friends are like, "Yo, do you want to go to SF for the day?" I'm not gonna say no. Right? I'll go through, but if they were like, "Hey, do you want to like stay in SF for like a week? We should get like an Airbnb." I'll be like, "Nah." So maybe that clears it up.
Speaking of ratings, though, you recently went to a 2 Michelin star restaurant.
Wow.
I did.
Yeah. I honestly didn't talk to you much about this. I think you just, exclaimed to me that the food was very fucking good. But I want to hear like, some more detail about it. Because obviously like me and I think no one else in this group here has experienced that before. So
So it was my first time going to a 2 Michelin restaurant. Shout out to my boy Sujay for bringing me to that experience. So yeah, let me tell you about this place. It's called like Saga NYC. All right, it's by this guy named Jamal James Kent. He's actually a Muslim dude. If you search him up on Google, he looks white as day. So you'd be like, yo, like, and he goes by James Kent because after 9/11, he was trying to apply to spots with the name Jamal in it, and like nobody would give him a shot. So he just dropped Jamal.
Pretty messed up.
And yeah, it is really messed up. And so then he just go by Chef James Kent. But I mean, within recent period of time, he's bringing that back. But yeah, Saga was incredible. So it's on the 64th floor of this building in the financial district. And so I've never had like a proper tasting menu. I think like most of us, we go to a restaurant, we see what looks good. We just order that one item and go from there. So for me, it was like super different to kind of be like pampered and just be given things one after another. You know, it's like going to like an Indian auntie's house and just like, you don't know what's on the menu, but food's coming. What is it? You know, and it keeps coming too. Like you don't get to say stop. But yeah, I mean, so for all you guys know, I'm vegetarian and Sujay, the friend I went with, he's also vegetarian too. So we had an all vegetarian tasting menu, and they could also make it all vegan too.
Oh,
I mean, the all vegetarian tasting menu was incredible. So I can only imagine what, you know, their regular tasting menu is like. But yeah, they bring you in. They're like crazy bougie. Like crazy bougie. I mean, obviously it's like New York City, 2 Michelin, you're going to expect some shit. But the amount of, I mean, they gave me this like honey soda and they were like, this is supposed to be a palate cleanser. And I'm just like, okay. You know, like,
say less.
I'm going to go with it. And yeah, I mean, they're going to like, they just bring like one after another. And at first, and if you guys have seen like, you know, I'm sure all of you guys have seen like photos of like Michelin star food. It's like bite-sized, right?
Right.
So initially I'm thinking like, yo, like, am I gonna have to pick up like dollar pizza after this? Like, like, because the first thing was just like these 2 slices of like mushrooms that were on like this, like a stick almost. And so at first it was a lot of like, what do they call it? Like finger bites or whatever?
Finger food.
Finger food. Finger bites.
Hey man,
Whatever you say, sounds weird. So they start you with that, but they bring you so many of the finger food, and each one is so, you know, delicately curated and presented. That at first you're like, man, I feel kind of bad, like like go eating like a pig and just being like, all right. But nah, it was incredible. I mean, after that, it's funny because that dinner was last Friday, and like this weekend, me and Neha are trying to plan like a date night, and I was just sending her tasting menus. I was just like, yo, like we got to just do. I love this bougie. I love the bougie lifestyle. You know, I can't do a la carte no more.
I'm beyond all that.
No more entrees.
I can't choose. They choose. You know, it really is an experience. I've been to a 1 Michelin restaurant before, but 2 is like, well, there's a big distinction. So I can't imagine what 3 is like. And my friend Sujay, who I went with, he had went to 11 Madison Park earlier that week, which is a 3 Michelin restaurant. So I was asking him, I was like, yo, like, what is the difference between what we're experiencing right now and what you had at 11 Madison? I mean, in his opinion, he said that it was like very neck and neck, but still, it's a pretty penny. It's not cheap. But I think it's worth going because it's beyond just like eating food. It really felt like an experience.
Yeah. The reason I think it's like before, when I thought about eating at these Michelin star restaurants, I also have like this like preconceived notion that like they're just going to give you like one bite of everything.
Yeah.
And then also I thought about how like, I only eat like chicken and like fish, like I don't eat beef or pork, and I feel like all these Michelin star restaurants are like, oh yeah, we have like A10 Wagyu and all this shit or whatever. I was like, I can't even eat that. So like, what even is the point? Yeah. But now that they're like especially 11 Madison Park, I watched an interview with the head chef there, and he was like explaining that like, you know, he switched the restaurant over to completely vegetarian or vegan or whatever. And I think that's like great sign that like other restaurants are going to follow suit and like give us more options, which is lit.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of my biggest hesitations at first too, because I mean, Saga was, I think after tip and taxes, it came out to almost like $800, which going in, right? Yeah, right. It's not cheap.
For two, right? Or each?
For two.
Okay.
So I mean,
I'm in. Yeah. Go to the rest right now.
Harsha balling different, man. I mean, yeah, it's still $400 per person. It's crazy. It's crazy. And especially as a vegetarian,
right?
I've always kind of thought about this too, kind of throughout my life. I was like, man, I feel like I'm doing myself like such a massive disservice by like not eating meat or not trying meat. So when I'm spending $400 on vegetarian food, I mean, the thought kicks back in of like, yo, this isn't the shit that they're even known for, you know? They're known for a completely different menu. They probably got 2 stars off of a different menu. But nah, man, they killed it. Shout out to Jamal.
Some respect on his name. That's hype.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you like didn't belong there? Like, was there hella like other bougie people there, like famous people looking?
Did you to like dress up, or is that recommended?
Is that recommended?
So they didn't have a dress code. So the kitchen is actually well known, at least within the culinary world, to have a much more relaxed environment. Like you'll see like Chef James Kent walking around in like a pair of Jordans, like all the time. But with that said, I dressed up because I was like, well, I'm sure as hell not going to wear Jordans to Michelin. I'm not there. I'm not at like the FU money. But did it feel a little weird? Kinda. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could definitely tell. I remember the table next to us, it was like a table of 3 and they were celebrating like someone's birthday. The conversations that they would have were it was so casual to them, but for us, it would be like something we would have to really, really like talk about. For example, they were talking about, you know, taking a trip to Switzerland in 2 weeks, like just casually, just like, hey, we should go to like Geneva or like, I forgot that really famous lake. But they were just like very casual, like, should we just go there in like 2 weeks? And they were like trying to figure out, like one of them pulled out like Airbnb on his phone and stuff. And I'm like, yo, if I'm going to Switzerland, I'm planning this shit in like 6 to 12 months before.
I'm sure that dropping $400 on a meal, right? Like 2 weeks before.
I need my laptop. I need my laptop too. I can't do this on my phone.
I need my laptop.
Oh, this was only $400? Wow, great deal.
Yeah.
It's okay. The 3-star restaurant that provide the laptop for you. That's the services they have. Yeah,
they have like a flight concierge.
Like the food brings out like a travel thought, and then you have to like go book a flight after.
It's all inclusive, but it's just
all inclusive.
But I mean, those were. That was just the table next to us. So I can't imagine what other people, you know, what their backgrounds were, or
that's crazy.
Just them, like, it's just like such a different level of balling out, and honestly, such a different way of just going about life. It was very fascinating to hear for sure. But I mean, hey, I once y'all are all famous off this pod, like, don't forget me. You know, bring me to Saga so I can join those conversations too.
If we ever make it to fucking McDonald's, it's a miracle.
We'll let you know when we have Jamal on.
Okay, all right, say less.
I feel like when you're at a restaurant like that, you have to treat it like, you know, remember like Ratatouille when they're trying cheese, like, I don't know, for the first time, but like, he's pretty much like telling like,
cheese and the strawberry.
Like close your eyes, like picture what you like. I feel like I have to treat every like small dish like that to like really, I don't know, like appreciate what I'm doing. But I don't know if I'm capable of those kind of feelings.
You can't be eating at Heron speed at a Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah, that's right. I can't, bro.
I mean, I was just about to say, like, I'm a pretty fast eater, but yeah, I mean, with these like finger food, I was like, man, I gotta take my sweet ass time. But at the same time, there were so many courses. Our dinner reservation was at 9, and we left at Tarun, do you remember what time I texted you? It was like past
Dude, yeah,
midnight.
he texted me like at 12:30, and I was like,
Yeah.
he's
Ooh,
like,
sh-
oh, is there any
Yeah.
moves or anything? And I was like,
Yeah.
no, I think I'm gonna just go to sleep. And then he's like, okay, we're coming. I was like, you guys just got out of dinner, bro? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like I
what the
said,
fuck?
no, it's like, I mean, they pace the meals, obviously, but there's just when you think it's like, all right, no more, they bring out like 6 more pieces of food. And
They also like pay attention to how fast you're eating, right? Like if you're if you're finishing up, then they'll like figure out like what the best time is to send the next one out, right?
oh,
Something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
No, like there was our server, like I think the way that the restaurant was set up, it's kind of set up, I think, I'd guess to any other restaurant, like servers would cover a certain area of the patrons. So yeah, like our server was just kind of like, I could see her just kind of glancing on the side, making sure that, or at least seeing where we're at. And the second that she would see us, like our like hands were away from the table and we're just like, but me and Sujay were just talking. Yeah, she would like go straight to the kitchen, like just vanish. She'd be gone for a minute. And then about like 5 to 10 minutes after that, the new set of dishes would come out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's crazy when you think about it, right? Like, because a lot of these servers at these like Michelin star or fancy restaurants in general, they're making like 100, 200K, bro. Just off
Easily.
of, just tips and like the service that they provide. Like, you got to be very experienced, very like, you can't be fucking around. Like,
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah,
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. I mean, whenever the server would come and take our food, there'd be another dude who would come and he would clean up the entire table. Even if there was just like a flake.
Like a single crumb.
Yeah, just like a single crumb or a flake
Damn.
from a piece of bread. Like this dude like cleans up the entire table. They take away all your cutlery, all your plates, everything, and then they just bring brand new ones. So it's
God.
like you're sitting down for the
They
first
bring a
time.
cloth to your mouth, like dab your mouth.
I mean, they what they do is they brought like hot towels. in
Oh
between.
shit!
in
Yeah,
between
they
each
bring
one.
hot towels. Yeah, they bring out hot towels, and then they'd switch
Yo.
out your handkerchief. So
God
yeah,
damn,
you
bro.
really get really get.
I
hampered.
see what
It's
you
crazy.
got a fucking spa package in this $400 dinner
yeah,
too. Jesus.
yeah.
Dude, when I come visit you, I want that kind of level of meal from you.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
I want that
I'll
whole.
take
I want
you.
that all that treatment. I'll
take
pay you.
to
I'll pay you.
Saga. You'll pay me?
Yeah, I'll pay you.
You'll pay me to take you?
No. I'll pay you to treat me like that at your
Oh,
place.
treat you like
You're
that.
the restaurant.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. I can't seize my food properly yet. Okay, give me a little bit of time.
Hey, man, hey, we got the Instapot now. You can anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
What is that? What is that? A book from Ratatouille? Anyone can cook.
Anyone could cook. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have the Instapot for that book though.
Yeah.
Speaking of, seeing some bougie famous people, you actually did meet and interact very extensively with a very famous person that we all know. Do you want to tell that story? Do you know? What I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the Hassan story?
Yes.
He's like, which
Yes.
one?
He's like, which one, bro? I know too many people.
This
Dude,
dude's
Yeah,
out
from
now.
LA, bro.
There's millions of famous people.
Nah. Yeah. So, at the time, I was in community college, and so in community college, I had like no social life. So my only like outlet was just going to the gym all the time. And so because I'd go to the gym so often, I used to like whenever I walked in, like the trainers, like the front desk, like they kind of knew who I was.
Yeah.
And so one day I walk in and Hassan Minhaj is there, right? And in Cupertino, by the way. I'm like, well, what the hell is this guy doing here? And so I'm like doing my workout and stuff. And this was right after Homecoming King. So
Okay.
like he's kind of like blowing up on the spot.
Yeah.
But not nearly to what he is now. And I remember like, going up and he was getting a workout in with one of the personal trainers that I knew. And so there was a brief period of time during his workout where he's like on the treadmill doing cardio. So like I just went up to the personal trainer. I'm like, yo, dude, like, how much longer is this song gonna work out? I'd love to like just say hi and like shake his hand.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yo, actually after this, we're doing like a cool down session where we're just stretching. So if you want to, do you want to just like join on the cool down? I was like, shit, why not? And so, yeah, it was like during that period of time where I got to chat with him a little bit. And I asked him when his next special was coming out. And he said that, you know, he's working on something which isn't a special, but it's going to come out later that fall. That ended up being Patriot Act. But I asked him, I was like, yo, what are you doing here in Cupertino, in this super suburban city? But he said that his wife's family, she has a lot of like family out in Cupertino. So he was just like visiting. But in my opinion, I think it was like a 2 birds, 1 stone type of thing. I think he was there in Los Gatos, to the Netflix headquarters, visiting some folks, and just so happened to appease the in-laws. But that's my theory. But yeah, no, like Hassan was super chill. I think people don't believe me when I say this, but this man is super jacked. Like, it's pretty crazy. I remember this dude was wearing like a Jordan tank top. And I was like, yo, goddamn, like, you got some pretty big arms, bro. Like, it's pretty crazy.
How tall is he? He seems kind of tall, but
I think he was like 6. Yeah. 6. Yeah, he could play point guard for sure, you know. Yeah, but super dope guy. And it was coincidentally like that following week, he was doing like a series of shows in the Bay Area. So I went to one of them, and I think that was when he was still trying to test the format of Patriot Act, because he kind of did that like pseudo PowerPoint presentation mixed with like a lot of jokes, but he's still trying to send a message. So he did that a lot during his set, which kind of threw me and my friends off, because we were thinking it would just be like a regular just like a regular like a lecture. In a way.
Why are we talking about the Middle East government right now? What's going on?
Honestly, I think at the time, the Trump either had just gotten elected. I think he had just gotten elected, and that was, I think, around the time when Trump was doing like this Muslim ban. You know, remember that? Like, he was like, oh, we gotta like ban all the Muslims so we can figure out what's going on. So. He like made like I remember he made a pretty funny joke about that, but then it got like really serious again, and I was just like, I don't know if I should be laughing for the serious parts as well. But
that's pretty sick.
Yeah. It was a very, I think that was probably like my first real celebrity interaction.
You want to tell him what your second was?
God damn.
My second celebrity interaction
ever?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this happened before.
So that's a pretty fun story. That entire weekend was actually kind of just so much stuff happened, because I met 2 Chainz. I'm gonna give you guys like just the summary of what happened that weekend. All right. First, I met 2 Chainz, Nav, and like Trae Young at the club. All right.
In Atlanta, I'm assuming, or
no, this was actually in New York.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like sneaked into their section, crazy. That was my first time that I met Neha that weekend. And that's kind of like started our relationship. And
so that's like the 4th most favorite person you met that weekend?
Something like that. And then she broke into the top 5. She broke into top 5. Top 5, but not top. She's not in the top 2. Not 2. Met Neha. And it was also the first time that weekend where I tried steak. So I'll get to that too. Me and my friends, we went to this one place called, I think it's called the Up and Up. Really dope club. And we had no idea that like all these celebrities were going to be in there. We just heard it was like a fun spot that the DJs play good music. And we went in, and and then like hell of people like just start like swarming towards like this one area of the club. So like me and my friends were like, yo, what's going on? And then we find out to be 2 Chainz. And I guess he was making a club appearance. And this dude, I remember like, he had like one of those like Louis Vuitton, like pouches, you know, the ones that you kind of put over your thing. And it was just filled with joints. This dude, like, it's just like filled with joints. And he had like small containers to like roll weed and all this crazy shit, right? And so then I remember there was this like this middle-aged like white dude that was like part of like his section who was plastered. And me and one of my close friends, we were like standing right next to him, but in between us is this barrier. And you could see there's like this big security guy who's standing in between us. And, you know, and they're obviously playing like, you know, 2 Chainz music. They're playing No Lie, the Big Booty Ho song and all that.
Birthday song.
Yeah, the birthday song. Yeah. The middle-aged dude, he like just kind of like taps my shoulder, and he was just like, yo, like, do you want any drinks? And I was just like, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, surprising because we're not in Hell's Kitchen, so I don't know what you're trying to do, but but yeah, I was just like, all right, sure. And he was like, yeah, bro, like we got hella alcohol, nobody's drinking it, so please feel free. So he like taps the security guy, and the security guy, like there was like that velvet rope, you know, lifts it up, lets us in, puts it back down.
Crazy.
And just like that, we're now in 2 Chainz section. We start making our way closer and closer to 2 Chainz, and I have like photos of it. I mean, I don't know if I could show it to you, but yeah, it was great. And then they started playing Tap by Nav. Tap. Multi-platinum.
I'm having a fucking aneurysm, dude. I swear to God.
You know, the 2 greatest songs. You have We Are the World by Michael Jackson, and then you got Tap by Nav, so they start playing Tap, and then the DJ, like, he's just like, y'all make some motherfucking noise. Nav's in the building. And then, like, you see, like, Nav's, like, you know, big-ass head just kind of, like, pop out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, shit, like, Nav's here. And then he, like, plays... I remember he played Tap, like, 3 times in a row. And if you guys remember the song... Meek Mill. Meek Mill starts off the song, right? So everybody's now thinking like, okay, we got Chainz, we got Nav. I mean, shit, where the hell is Meek, right? And then like the DJ like cuts the music off again, and he was like, "Shout out to the Atlanta Hawks. We got Trae Young in the building." And I have to like check Google for this, but I think Trae Young was not 21 at the time.
What year was this?
This was 2019, the summer of 2019.
Yeah, I think
so,
he's like on the cusp,
and the reason why,
like that.
Yeah, because I turned 21 that summer. So I don't know.
Wait, you weren't 21 when that middle-aged guy got you drinks?
No. I turned 21 in June of
okay.
2019.
Good.
That the whole New York thing happened in July.
You're trying to rat him out, bro. Relax.
Yeah.
Come
Mark,
on.
bro, what is this?
1 2. Where's my lawyer? But yeah, and then so before we knew it, we were like, I was like right next to 2 Chainz, and then like behind him is Nav, and then behind Nav is Trae Young.
Dude, I wonder if Trae Young goes out now, like he's gonna get booed by like New Yorkers because they fucking hate him, bro. I mean, Knicks fans do, but I don't know if like all of New York hates him, but a good amount of people will dislike him in the city.
Yeah. That's actually so true. I'd be hella curious to see what I think half the people would, yeah.
Now they bring up Trae Young, like everyone just leaves. Just like,
I think half the people would be like, "Yo, to hell with you! Hey, can I get a flick?" You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. There was an all-star NBA player there, and he was still shorter than the rapper there. Because 2 Chainz is like 6'7".
2 Chainz is massive, bro.
Yeah.
Yo,
Didn't
2
2 Chainz
Chainz
play like D1 football or something crazy?
Yeah, he played like
he used to play basketball.
like
collegiate
JUCO basketball or something.
Yeah, and I think he actually got kicked out because of like drug charges or something.
Mm-hmm. And then he started rapping, and then he became even more.
Yeah, well, actually, for 2 Chainz, he actually started off. His original rap name was called Titty Boy. It was Titty and then BOI, right? And then when he was like 32, he like,
I'm a man now.
Like when he was 32, I don't know. I guess he decided that, you know, Titty Boy wasn't working out for him commercially. I wonder why. And so so he went by the name of 2 Chainz, and it was actually crazy because I didn't really think that 2 Chainz was this like deep like that. But someone asked him. I remember watching this in an interview where it's like, "Yo, like, why'd you name yourself 2 Chainz?" And he was like, like 2 Chainz represents like the second chain represents like my second chance, and it was like my second chance of like at my career and like reviving it. And I was like, whoa, like that's like oddly very philosophical for a man
that
who
dude
wants a big
definitely
booty
pulled that
hoe.
stuff
Like,
out the fucking
Yeah, they had some PR interest in the game before. And he's like, yo, give me an answer before you commit.
That's crazy.
I mean, he didn't want to just say I didn't want to be Titty Boy anymore, and I was wearing 2 chains, so I said 2 chains.
But yeah, that was an incredible weekend for sure.
That's pretty crazy, man. I don't think I've met anyone on that level of like, I guess, famousness in like
that
ever.
close too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. It's, and also like those diamonds, those chains, the watches,
it's different.
those,
Should have snatched it, man.
Bro,
man, they are.
Snatched it around.
I'm trying to kill this man for sure.
I mean, Chains was so zooted, like you could have taken anything from him. You probably wouldn't notice, but he had security with him. So
Yeah.
but those diamonds really, they were shining bright, like crazy. Like the rappers always like rap about it, flexing about their diamonds, this, that. But I think that was like my first time seeing like the rapper diamonds per se.
Yeah.
To see just like how blinged out they are. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like it legit has like a flash.
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Shit, bro, if you got one, then you could have like cashed it in for like a lifetime supply at Saga or something. lifetime membership.
Yeah, I wonder if these famous rich people, like rappers and stuff, eat at Michelin star restaurants ever. Like, do they? Probably not,
sure-
right?
I'm
They probably just do that at
depends.
home. Like, do they go out and eat?
Yeah.
Do they have to?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It might be an
Sure
hassle,
they-
honestly. Like if you to go
Or,
out, and,
like
like,
famous, like people just like look at you and like take pictures of you.
yeah, you got to deal with all that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I
No,
probably
you
wouldn't want
ask for
to.
the room in the back, bro. They always have
Yeah.
rooms in the back, private rooms.
VIP room.
I mean, also, I kind of noticed this when I was in LA more so. Like if you go to the restaurants where a lot of like celebrities frequent, I noticed that a lot of the people that are just like regular diners there as well. I mean, they also, I think it's not that they like know them personally, but I think they're just in such like high society that they don't really flip out or, they're like, oh shit, like that's so-and-so when they walk through. I remember this one time I went to this one Italian restaurant on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills called El Pastel. And I remember me and Neha did like a date night there. And, obviously we're like really dressed up and stuff. And I would say at least like a quarter of the people that showed up literally would wear like Balenciaga sweats and just like sneakers. And I remember this one chick was just wearing like yoga pants and like Gucci kicks. And it's like such a
Weird.
is this like
Yeah.
and like El Pastel wasn't cheap. So it's like I think when they're just surrounded by that much money, I can't imagine the fame really phases them either. But that's just my observation. But I'm sure they do frequent. I know in New York there's a restaurant called Carbone, which a lot of celebrities frequent. Yeah, I'm sure like in West Village, Greenwich, Soho, Tribeca, the celebrities are all out and about eating somewhere. But what about you guys? Who's probably like the most famous person you've ever seen or interacted with?
You, man, by association.
I know. I'm a friend of Hassan Minaj,
Yeah.
bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nah.
I don't think I've ever interacted with anyone famous. Unfortunately, I have a very boring life.
I think most of mine are athletes, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
athletes are famous too.
Yeah.
But like, it's not crazy when you see him at a game.
No, I mean,
No, I got a picture where like Jeremy Grant, but it's not like Trae Young or 2 Chainz.
That's still pretty cool, bro.
Yeah.
He's got a good contract. That's cool.
Yeah.
You could snatch a chain from him too.
You can start a trend.
I saw him like at the store in the airport buying a pencil and then asking the worker to sharpen it for him.
It's actually crazy that out of a crowd of people, I mean, I get he's tall, you fucking recognize the face of Jeremy Grant, who's like not a fucking irrelevant player, but like close to it. When
He's
it
like a
comes to
D-list player.
Yeah.
No. He's like a good role player. He's
Yeah, he's a role player, though. Like-
and wait, when did you meet him in Harsha?
Last summer.
Okay, yeah. I
He's
mean,
like a
at
role,
that point,
but he's
Okay,
a role player.
yeah.
Like
yeah. But he's not a bum though. He's not like he's getting
but
good
a casual
playing
NBA
time.
fan does not know fucking Jeremy Grant's face.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
guess
point.
that's fair. That's fair.
He just appreciated to be noticed, you know.
He's like, you looking at me?
Wait, was he? Wait, I can't remember. He wasn't like happy about taking the picture, right, or something?
Yeah, he was fine. Like he was by himself.
Mhm.
Like no one was around him. And just like I saw him, and I walked to my gate, and I was like,
What did you? You like? I'm a big fan.
no, I was like, hey, like, do you mind if we like can get a picture together? He was like, yeah, sure, don't worry.
Did you
Yeah.
comment him at all?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, I talked
did
to
you
him. I
make
was like-
sure
I
it
was like-
Jeremy Grant?
No, I did. I was like, so like, you want to come to the Wizards? Is that why you're here? He was like, he was like, no, I just wanted the Blazers. I was like, oh yeah. And then I should have Googled him like why he would be here, but his brother plays for the Wizards G League team.
The Capital City.
I should have
Go-Go's?
I should have asked him about that, but he would have really appreciated that. But it was
Yeah.
too
You
late.
think he would have thought that was weird?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, are you here to see your brother and then say the name and like play for the Capital City?
He's
Go-Go's?
averaging like 3.4 points per game on 86% shooting.
Like, are you here to see Jared Grant, point guard for the Capital City Go-Go?
Oh, his brother
the
Jaden
team?
Grant. Oh
Yeah.
shit, I knew. Oh, I forgot about that.
And like your uncle Horace Grant, who's not here, but just I know that he's your uncle, who played with Michael Jordan.
You just flex all the information
Yeah.
you
I'm
possibly
also
have on the
wearing
crib.
Jordans. Yeah, just,
Isn't Horus like an Egyptian name?
I have no idea.
Okay,
Good shout, man. I guess
Thanks.
maybe.
thanks.
Yeah.
thanks.
Dude, you met any
Ball
famous people?
knowledge. Ball knowledge. What? Famous
You meet,
people?
you meet, yeah.
Nah, man. I mean, last time I was in New York, we were walking around Lower East Side at some point, and I saw the guy from Silicon Valley, walking around. What's his name?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Richard
Richard Hendricks, but I forget his name in real life.
Thomas Middleditch.
Thomas Middleditch. Yeah. But I saw him walking around, and I couldn't remember for the life of me his name, so I just started yelling Silicon Valley, Silicon Valley. And these two girls.
What's
behind
their
me were
what's their startup again? It's Pied Piper.
Pied
or something
Piper,
like
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. So then the two girls, like either in front of me or behind me, whatever, I like heard me yelling, and they gestured to me like, "Oh yeah, like that's him."
Yeah, keep going, keep yelling. Silicon Valley.
It's funny though, because I think like as soon as I started yelling, like he kind of put his head down a bit, and like he already had his hoodie up. But like he can't
You made
hide
him
from
feel
me.
bad.
That's a
You made him
classic.
feel
That's
bad,
a
bro.
Richard move right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the closest I've gotten to somebody that's well known, I think. Oh, we also met Mr. Beast's video guy.
Yeah,
recently.
he's so famous. Given that,
Yeah.
By
You told Jay about
association.
this?
No, I didn't. Basically, we're
To give the
in,
brief version, yeah.
we're in Raleigh for my girlfriend's birthday, and then it was like me, Christian, Haran, and Swati, my girlfriend, like sitting at this table at this like random restaurant in Raleigh.
Okay.
And like there was this guy that like I know I had seen in like Mr. Beast videos before, like sitting literally at the table next to us. But like I didn't know for sure. And then he started talking to his like friend who seemed like a normal ass dude about like how he went like I don't know, some like he did some crazy shit where like they went into a plane and they're doing like 6G maneuvers and like flipping the plane and all this shit. And like he did like at that point I knew he was like who I thought he was. So then
Yeah.
like I was trying to explain to them like like who this guy was. So I pulled up like
Did
a video,
Trinity,
like,
pulled up a
remember-
video
he
and like held it
remembered?
up.
yeah, he literally spent 6 minutes scrubbing through a video
Yeah,
just to
that
find
he
the
was-
frame where the dude is wearing the same exact hat he's wearing at the table next to
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
and not quietly, Tarun's like, yeah, no, it's him for sure.
Yeah.
Like very loudly, like very obviously. It's like, oh yeah, it's him.
And then like for the next like 15 minutes, we were literally just like talking, but also meanwhile True just like kept looking like glancing
No,
over
because
at the
I was
guy.
I was so curious that like because I was saying like he was talking about like these 6G maneuvers and all this whatever,
Yeah.
all this crazy
Oh, our
shit.
conversation was just boring to you?
Dude, in comparison, yeah, fuck yeah. What the fuck were you talking about? We are talking about this mimosa is so good, whatever. Like, I don't give a shit about that.
It's your girlfriend's birthday, bro.
I was also curious. No, not that day though. Not that day. Chill.
That was crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Anyway, like I was like more curious like at his story, but also the fact that like his friend who seemed like a hometown friend, like a day one type friend, like did not say a single word that whole time. Because I feel like the other dude was like flexing on him a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
hey, my life is so crazy. Listen to this. And like obviously he lured me in, even though I wasn't supposed to listen or whatever. It was crazy.
So wait, was your defense saying that wasn't her birthday, so it's okay? Like that day wasn't her birthday?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that
We
that's
weren't
what
talking
you
about
said.
anything else. Were we? Were you guys? I don't remember. I wasn't
Yeah,
listening.
clearly.
Let's not dig yourself into a big
Rod, who's the most famous person you met?
Dude, I haven't met anyone famous, man. I think the most like famous is probably Nikhil Alexander Walker because we got the photo.
Oh
with him.
yeah.
And that's an actual like he's a tier below Jeremy Grant. Except he's getting some good playing time.
No,
now,
I think
but-
he's the same tier only because he's Shea's cousin, not because he's of the player. He
okay.
is.
So yeah.
That's fair.
Besides that, no. I mean, like I remember like back in the day, like in like middle school, like this one girl like said she like met this like relatively famous Liverpool striker like in a airport in like England, and I was like so upset, and I was like, why can't that be me? Because I never met a fucking. Like, I just want to meet like one random ass football like a soccer player, and that's never happened yet. So fingers crossed that will happen to me at one point in my
Yeah, you
lifetime.
be at LA, bro. You run into the Galaxy players, the LAFC players, bro. You'll be straight.
Yeah, but like they're all. I
Yeah.
mean, no one really matters besides like.
But
Chicharito.
tons of European players like vacay in LA, bro. Like you'll run into
That's true.
somebody
Yeah,
at some
that's
point.
true. Maybe.
Yeah.
And like
You never know.
Yeah.
Just find out roughly where they live and then show up to all the soccer fields
Okay.
nearby.
Okay.
And then talk about their dad and their cousin.
this sentence started low and then never went up.
Go to Il Pastel and just sit there. Go wear some sweatpants at Il Pastel.
Yeah. And
All
write
right.
Balenciaga on them with the Sharpie.
Yeah.
You be chilling.
Be like, oh yeah, it's a new line of their sweatpants. You guys haven't seen these
Dude,
ones.
honestly, people believe it. I feel like there's a lot of clothes right
Yeah, just resell it right there.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, you want these pants?
Yeah, just take the pants off.
Yeah.
You give it to the server for a free meal.
And then you'll be the famous person because you'll be all over the news.
Let's go.
We are social engineering at its finest. No, I was gonna say I forgot. I met Nimesh Patel. He's pretty famous.
Yeah, I was gonna mention him.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was also
yeah.
gonna say that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok of him today. Some girl like interned for him, and now she's trying to do stand up on her own.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Big
I
ups.
scrolled over to her TikTok account. It has like 150 followers, but she's doing stand up like in LA.
Is she funny? Did you follow her?
No, I didn't follow her, but I thought she was like kind of funny. She's her delivery was very average.
Bad.
Dude, delivery is so important.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the content of her jokes were like okay, but the delivery was very monotone. But she tons of room for growth.
Yeah.
You think about it, like writers for like TV shows, like some of them are. I never meet these writers, but like there's some really fucking good lines in like a lot of these comedy shows. But like I feel like none of them ever do stand up. I feel like you need like a
it's
different
a whole
level of
it's a whole different-
personality and delivery to
Yeah,
make it
sure.
into stand up.
Speaking of delivery, Ajay, I wanted to make sure we talk about this because you're so good at it. You make music, man. Tell us more about it.
Oh my goodness, dude! First of all, the segues have just been impeccable.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness.
Have your expectations lowered yet?
We need a round of applause. I wish like y'all had like the sound effects where it's like you could just.
Wait, what do you mean?
just
True doesn't
do-
usually these transitions do you guys like
Yeah,
talk to a day to day
yeah.
basis?
Nah. You know, it's
Like, Ajay, how was your day?
yeah.
Speaking of your
Speaking
day,
of-
my day was
good. This
Yeah.
lunch is great. Speaking of lunch, what are you eating for dinner?
Oh my god.
But yes, I do make some music. It's been a minute since I've actually like gone into a studio, but yeah, I would say it is something that I am very passionate about.
So, what kind of music do you make?
why?
Why? Where?
Why? So yeah, I mean, I guess the origin story is like it all goes back to community college. Like I'm gonna just preface this right now. Like again, community college, social life is completely non-existent. Like completely non-existent. And so so I had to find a lot of different outlets to kind of like pass the time. And especially when you see all your friends at a college campus like doing fun shit, you're gonna feel a type of way to be like, man, I need to do something for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so so yeah, like I bought like a $40 mic on Amazon or something like that. And I think like I was only looking for like free software. So I started off with like Audacity, which is like the software program that like the
Hey, dude,
you
I think you can
you're
start a
like,
podcast too,
You
man.
tell me I can make some music right now? Fuck yeah, dude.
It is
what
what
I
we
need to-
primarily use for this podcast.
you know,
And we also have Amazon mics.
Yeah.
Yo, let me say, I mean, Audacity, if you know how to use it, is so powerful. But like, I mean, I literally just watched like a YouTube tutorial, right? And I was like, yo, I'm gonna win like a Grammy off this thing, you know? So yeah, like I just started recording some music, and then when I went to UCSD, they actually had a radio station on campus. And in that radio station, they also had like a recording studio. And so that was like my first time actually going to a studio, making beats. And there was an engineer there. Shout out to Nick. I haven't talked to this dude in years, but you know, big ups to Nick. And he was the first one to really show me how to like, you know, produce. I mean, he used to use like Logic and Pro Tools and like a lot of the more professional software. And the studio was legit. It had like all the amps, it had all the plugins, all the hardware to really make something like crazy if you wanted to. And so, yeah, that's where like I really started to actually like take music a bit more serious, or like give a bit more seriousness to music. And yeah, like, so for me, I make primarily, I'd say more like R&B ish music. I think when I first started out, I was like really into this, like the trap. And I still have some recordings of it, you know, back when I was like 18 and, they're essentially like the 18-year-old version of what tap would be. You know, if you had to,
That sounds pretty promising, man. That sounds pretty promising.
If you had to think of what that style of music was like, just think of like if you gave an 18-year-old Indian kid the challenge to remix tap, what that output would be. That is what I used to make on a very consistent basis. So in other words, it was A1 ass. It was so bad. But yeah, I mean, and then in LA, where I was living for the last like 2 years or so, I started going to a legit recording studio in Hollywood, and just started writing, networking, you know, producing. And yeah, I mean, I honestly kind of wish I took more of that opportunity of my time in LA, you know, pursuing that. But I didn't, which is a regret. But hopefully somehow, some way in New York, I can pick it back up, which I do intend to sooner than later. But I just feel like there's so many other things that I want to do. And to be frank, studio time is not cheap.
Yeah.
I like in LA, like the studio time would run me into the thousands.
Yeah.
And this is like, granted, I'd go to like a really great studio that came with an engineer. But yeah, I mean, these guys are not cheap. Studios are not cheap. And especially in LA where everyone's trying to make it in the music industry. I mean, they're going to like price gouge you regardless. So I definitely was like, you know, at times I'd see like my Chase card and be like, you know, is this really worth it? But nah, like it gives me a great amount of fulfillment. I love doing it. I do miss doing it on a more consistent basis. But like I said, New York's a new change of scenery. So hopefully that comes with some new music.
Do you need like that whole ass studio, like all the equipment to make it? Like, is it like that much of a difference between somebody that has that versus someone that has like a home studio, like with some good equipment and like some decent equipment?
Nah, like you can really get away with, you know, some good software. Like I know a lot of people use Fruity Loops, and you know, they'll buy like a $50, $100 mic on Amazon, and they'll mix and master it all themselves. But I think for me, the studio, I enjoy it a lot more because I think it forces me to take it much more seriously. I've tried to do the recordings from home, and to be honest, I feel like I'm not very good at mixing records. And I think always having that second ear, especially someone who's never listened to you or has never listened to that style of music, it comes very handy. And that was like actually one of the first things I learned when I was working with Nick from that radio station in college, he was like a huge like rock guy.
Yeah.
And so when I would come in with like these like R&B hip hop-esque type beats, like he was like, I don't know how to really like mix you because I don't know what exactly you're expecting. But I kind of took that as like I think that's actually a great thing. I mean, mix it how you think it would sound good to you sonically.
Right.
And so yeah, but I like going to the studio for that. And two, I think it's also just a great way to network. You know, just talking to the engineer, building somewhat of a personal relationship with the engineer. The engineer I used to work with in LA, his name is Zach. He makes great music as well, produces a lot of his stuff too. And, you know, he's engineering for some like artists who aren't big, but they might have like 50,000 followers on Instagram, right? And you never know. One of them could become really big, and then all it takes is just one record, right? Everyone is just one song away from becoming a superstar. So to me, I see the value in paying that premium of going to the studio.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, even in New York, that's what I want to do too. But I think the networking scene was just so much better in LA, which again, I just never took advantage of it. I also didn't realize how good it was. Even though it might have seemed really obvious, it's like, well, no duh, like every like big musician at least lives in LA. I don't know. For me, it was just like, they'd never like, you know, they'd never be associated with this person or that person. But I mean, everyone is just like 1 or 2 degrees away from knowing someone really, really big that could really help you out. So I wish I had leveraged that more.
So where can people find your music?
So I actually took a lot of my music down in the fall, just because a lot of the music that was up was recorded when I was in college. And I think since college, my sound has changed a lot, and I'm very, very big on first impressions. I would say like my mixing and my mastering has greatly improved since then. So you can't really find it anywhere right now. And I'm also trying to figure out, like, I do have songs that I can release, but I think the hardest part is honestly just trying to figure out how I can release it in a way where I feel like I kind of got my money's worth. I feel I kind of hate putting somewhat of like a quantity, like a sort of measurement to like the success, but because I do genuinely enjoy writing and recording music, but when you do spend a good amount of money, you do want to see a little bit of a return on investment.
No, yeah, for sure.
Right. And so for me, I'm just like, okay, well, shit, how do I put it out in a way that it'll, you know, touch, like, you know, it'll go through a lot of people's ears where they could also potentially spread the word. But it's honestly it's like all one big double whammy because, you know, like I said, I say I'm very passionate, but I want to see a return on investment. I want to release the music, but in all honesty, I'm also an incredibly insecure person when it comes to my music. So there's constant back and forth of wanting to do something with this. And it just leaves me like in this limbo of, all right, well, I didn't get anything done at the end of the day. But a lot of like my friends have always said like, yo, you just need to really just rip off that Band-Aid and just go for it. Cause I mean, there's as much great music there is out there, a lot of creative artists out there. There's also a lot of shitty music out there, right?
For sure.
And so not to say that I'm not trying to like really big, like, you know, boost myself up, but I think it's, you know, it's more to point out that if people can take this for an example, right? If I played, let's just say I made the song Tap, right? By now.
It all comes back to Tap.
Right?
I love how Tap, man.
I love how Tap has just been this like continuous
throughout the episode.
But let's just say like I made the song Tap and I played it for you guys, right? Objectively speaking, I mean, you guys would be like, I mean, objectively, right? Just take out the fact that, take out Nav out of all of that. What would you guys say to that? if I made the song Tap and I played it.
Probably the most repetitive song I've heard.
Yeah, but if you got the
right.
Meek Mill feature, hey, yo, it's passable for sure.
Oh, we in.
But like you guys would be, you know, you guys would just be like, yo, this isn't it. Right?
Yeah.
But so imagine the people that are around like his circle of friends or just even for himself. And he was like,
Yeah.
nah, screw all that. Like, I think this is actually popping. I'm gonna release it. And so I think, I mean, it took a lot of like close friends to kind of show that example to me.
Yeah.
Right. Or even it's like a 2 Chainz song. It's like the Happy Birthday song, right? If I made that song and I played it for you guys, I know for sure y'all would be like, yo, first of all, we're not airing this episode. Second of all, like don't waste any more money and other people's time than you already have.
That's a banger song, bro.
Yeah.
I'm in the kitchen, yams everywhere. Fuck yeah, bro. Let's go. When I die, bury me inside a Gucci store.
You can never
But,
do worse
I
than
mean-
French Montana, though.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? Like these guys, like they just don't care.
Yeah.
They did it. But I mean, despite as much people want to bag on them, you know, they did it. I mean,
For sure.
they at the end of the day have successful songs and have a successful career.
I think like somebody starting is probably in a better spot though, because like if Nav actually made Tap and like showed his friends, I bet his friends will all be like, yo, that's fire, just because they're in the circle and they just want to say yes to Nav.
Yeah, I guess like starting
Yeah.
off, like you need that
Yeah.
pushback. I mean, like, you
Yeah.
get less and less pushback the bigger you get. I feel
Luckily,
like.
you're rooming with the harshest guy I know, so he'll.
All right, well, listen, I'll send all you guys some of these songs, and yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear some honest, raw feedback. But yeah, I think it's just really trying to find a way to then market it, which is obviously the toughest
Yeah.
part. Because I've like even when I was in the studios in LA, like I used to hear like incredible music coming from artists that had 15 followers on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I'd just be
Yeah.
like, my music doesn't even come close to this,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so again, sometimes you think like, man, if this guy doesn't have a chance, like what the hell are my
Right.
shots, you know? And so there is this constant back and forth, but I really do think sooner than later, I just have to really rip off that Band-Aid and just say like, all right, screw it. Let's do it. Let's just see where it goes.
Yeah, I think for marketing purposes and stuff, you came to the right place. So you guys put your name out there.
You gotta put it on TikTok, man.
Yeah,
I
on the
wish
real,
I
that's
did.
what I was gonna say. Is I've seen this this guy who's got like he does like a series. He's like artists with shit marketing. That's like literally what it is. And these different people will like comment like their Spotify username or whatever, and he'll check them out if they have like under like I think it's like 1,000 followers or something like that on Spotify, and he'll just like I don't know how his page got so big originally, but he'll just pretty much like market it through that, and then people will go from the TikTok like to that person's Spotify, and they'll like run it up like so much because like sometimes
deserve
it's
it,
yeah, because like they'll only do it obviously if it's like actually really good music, but like I think it's become a little bit not easier, but like the hit rate I guess is a little bit higher now that there's all these other like ways of like cross distributing.
Right.
So there's at least a little bit better of a chance now, but yeah, it's still like so hard to crack it. But
The four of us will start a dance trend to whatever song you put out, and it'll blow up, man. Trust.
No, it's so true. I mean, it's like so saturated, right? I mean, because it's also like the barrier of entry is so much lower now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you were starting back in like the 2010s or something, like you would still need to go to like a full-fledged studio and buy or spend that money on studio time and stuff. But yeah, I mean, now it's like, even if you guys wanted to do a podcast back in like 2010 or 2011, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you probably have
so
to find like a full-fledged like radio stations type of setup. But I mean, you guys are doing this completely like distributed and
Yeah.
like all in, right? How much money did you guys probably put in like for the mic and for the software?
I would say
What is
completely
it?
like through all four of us combined, I would say it's probably under 350.
Yeah, then that's crazy because just I mean, one studio session in LA, they used to have like a 2-hour minimum requirement.
Yeah.
It on average run me between $400 to $500.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Right. And one of the things about the studio as well was, you know, you start recording the song, you'd probably spend the first hour recording it, and then the second hour is like mixing it.
Yeah.
But in that second hour, you've heard the same exact song at least 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the end of that second hour, you feel like you're just losing it because everything just sounds the same.
Yeah.
And any minute change that you make, like you won't really notice it. And then by hour 3, you're like, all right, man, this is kind of pointless now because I'm just listening to the same exact song over and over and over and over again. And then I have to take like at least a couple days not listening to the song and then come back to it with like a fresh set of ears and then be like, all right, shit, I got to make changes here. I got to make changes in the chorus. In verse number 2, I should say this instead of that. And guess what? Now I got to book another $400 to $500 session to fix to fix all that shit from the previous session and then somehow try to squeeze in a new song. So it's like this constant, you know, it's like, yo, when does this shit end? Like, so that's why I say, like, I'm putting in all this time and money.
Right.
I mean, I want to start seeing some return. And I guess trying to figure that out, as mentioned many times, has been the toughest part.
Yeah, my biggest pet peeve is when people go to the studio and they start writing. They don't even start recording. It's just like such a big waste of their time and money. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Yeah,
for me, I have everything locked and loaded, like ready to go. Like, just hit record. Let's do our thing and let's get this going. I can never imagine. I mean, if I do have to rewrite, I'll rewrite like a line or two.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, hey, let's just go into the studio and vibe. Like, nah, I'm not doing that for like. I'll go to Saga to go. So we'll see. We'll see cool, how things pan out.
Yeah, you can hit up Christian, man. Christian makes music too. So if you actually need somewhat of a, you know, actually,
I'm dead serious. I'm like,
for sure.
After this, I'm gonna like Tarun. I'm gonna ask you for everybody's numbers on the pod, and I'm gonna send some records over and be like, please tell me, what do you guys think? You know, is this a tap? Is this a We Are the World?
Where on the spectrum are we?
Yeah. Hey man, this podcast is on a different spectrum. I'll tell you that for sure.
You know, but yeah, and I think also, you know, I had a pretty interesting conversation, and I actually would love to know your guys' response for this pod as well. But it was one of my friends he was like, you know, even. You know, you keep talking about like wanting like a return on your investment, this, that, like you're looking at it in a very like financial, analytical way. I mean, but like in terms of like success, how would you even measure that? Like what would actually make you feel like, damn, I kind of made it. And for me, honestly, even if I got like 100 streams on a song, right? You put 100 people in a room. That's a lot of fucking people in that room. To me, I'd feel like, yo, I made it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess there is like this, like, you have to put things into like context and perspective of like, 100%. Okay, well, like, are you trying to are you trying to actually be like a Michael Jackson, like this crazy stardom, or are you just trying to like do your own thing and find your own pocket and kill it? Because I mean, there's so many indie artists that are just killing it, right? They create their own fan base and they really run with it. And I feel like, that's like super dope. So likewise, I mean, I know you guys joke about like, oh yeah, like the pod's this, the pod's that, but I'm sure at some point, maybe not collectively, but individually, you guys must have thought like, damn, like, what do I want to do or make out of this pod? Is it more of like the 4 of you guys to just really get together and make sure, you know, y'all are always like, keep the conversation going, and no pun intended, have an interesting conversation or discussion sometimes. Or is it like, yo, let's see if we can actually like, you know, get some traction and take this somewhere? Like, what has it been for you guys?
Yeah, I think when we first started, we like set it to ourselves like, all right, we're not going to take this like too seriously. Like our expectations would be very low.
Yeah.
We basically made it during like right when COVID started.
Yeah,
Like, pretty much the
when-
week after.
because we had talked about it like beforehand, like kind of jokingly, but then I was having none of this shit anymore, so I just said everybody like 2 p.m. on Sunday, like we're doing this. Like
Yeah.
like word for word, that's almost exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So I think over time, I think we've gotten a little bit lax when it comes to like trying to promote things like further outside of like our social circles and stuff. I think it was a lot, like ironically, it was a lot easier for us during COVID because like, you know, everybody was at home. So like what better
Yeah,
did they have
yeah.
to do? But like
Yeah.
now that things are, knock on wood, like going back to normal, like worldwide, like people just have less time, you know, to be doing that sort of thing. So it's definitely something we've also struggled with when it comes to like even finding time, like to sit down.
Yeah.
Again, it was really easy during COVID because nobody had anything to do. But now, I mean, all four of us have moved or are going to move within the last 6 months. You know, everybody moved like many hours away, like hundreds
Yeah.
of miles away from where we were before. And our lifestyles have changed a lot. So I think that's also good though. What we want out of it though, I mean, I can speak from what we had talked about like previously and what I perceive it as. Like, I don't ever put like a number to it. Like, oh, like we want to make X amount of money or a money period off
Yeah.
of it. I think that was
Yeah.
one of the things we originally talked about is like, listen, there is an opportunity to monetize it, but we're not going to be like using that as like a main or even secondary source of income. Like whatever that is just like on top.
Yeah.
Like, we made
Or
like,
let alone like a source of motivation
Yeah.
for why you guys should do this pod, right?
yeah, I think a lot of the motivation comes intrinsically from us. Like at least I can speak to that. Like I don't like, yes, like is it cool when like we upload something like a short on YouTube and it gets like 1,000 views? Yeah, that's cool. Like it's cool to see that. But
Yeah.
like that doesn't change anything, I guess is like what I'm saying. Like it's kind of good positive reinforcement to know that like, okay, you're hitting somewhere in the algorithm, but other than that, like I don't think it doesn't change my approach to it. Like I think we've all like developed other things in our lives like meanwhile, so I wouldn't say this is necessarily taking a back seat, but we haven't been as primarily focused on it in the last, I would say, like 12 to 18 months when it comes to like expanding our audience, like making it like a much bigger production than what it is. I think like creatively we've grown a lot. Like just the way we talk, I guess.
Yeah.
And the things we talk about and like the way we converse with ourselves and guests. But I don't know. I said a lot about like what we used to think. So if you guys have different takes on it, like feel free.
Yeah, I think for me, like the great satisfaction I get out of it is like honestly like these guest episodes, like with you coming on, of course, and like a lot of times we have on guests that maybe like Harsha knows well, or like
Yeah.
Christian like brought on like a high school friend that none of us had ever met before, and we're like getting to know a side of Christian that we never really knew. And
ridiculous.
like stuff like that, like it's cool to like meet people that even like maybe like I won't like Owen, who's Christian's friend, like I don't know if I'll see Owen anytime soon, but like
Ever.
just that interaction is like it's super cool, and just like meet people from like different backgrounds and like have
Yeah.
those
Well, Owen's
conversations.
camera didn't even work, so we actually don't even know what he looks like. So
That is true, yeah. But yeah, I think that's what I get my most satisfaction out of. But like you said, I think it is important that like sometimes we like try to think about expanding our audience, because that is important too. But
Yeah.
for me, like for what we've done so far, I think the most satisfaction I've gotten are the guest episodes.
But beyond that, like, I mean, do you also have like some sort of an expectation, or do you even have like the desires, like, you know what, like let's try to like make this bigger, you know, let's see where it can take us? Because very clearly, I mean, right off the bat, as a guest, I can tell all four of you that there is like an insane amount of chemistry. And just through the stories that Tarun has already told me, I was like, all right, these four like goons definitely like got something going, you know?
Yeah.
This is like a little dream team over here. So yeah, no, I it's just always curious to see like, it's, and also very like, admirable, at least from my perspective, that you guys are like just so genuine, so like charismatic about all of it. And it's like, nah, we just here for a good time, you know. we just trying to kick it. We're not trying to do nothing crazy. But it sounds like if something does come your way, you know, you'll let it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I think, at least personally, what I can say, like the thing I'm most proud of about like everything is our consistency. There have been a lot of times where we don't want to sit down and talk. Like that's 100% transparent. Like I'm sure collectively and like each one of us, I'm sure has shown up multiple episodes, been like, all right, I just don't want to do this shit today. But you know, this is episode 159. We've already recorded episode 160, and we haven't skipped a week, I don't think, since like
George
the
Floyd.
fourth week of the podcast. Like, so that's almost 3 years at this point straight.
Consistent.
Wow.
I think, if my math is not failing me. So
damn.
Like despite everybody moving, like tons of like life events going on. Like Harsha, when we started this podcast, Harsha was just dating his fiance who he's marrying in 6 weeks. Like this shit is just like, I mean, we all knew it was gonna happen anyway. But like, you know, like it's just. It is kind of crazy.
It's cool that like, we can look back at that stuff on the episodes too. Yeah, like I don't like. I was thinking about it. Like I don't keep a. Like I was thinking like maybe I should like journal just to like keep my memories and like look back at it one day. But like this is pretty much like our like my version of a journal. Yeah. Like I can like look back and like, what I was thinking back in 2020 where like I didn't really have a direction in my life, and now I have a little more direction, but still trying to figure that out. But like just like being able to look back on those things is kind of cool. If you think about it.
There's also so many stories that. I know that because like on a weekly basis when we record this, we're like, okay, what the fuck happened this week that we can actually talk about? Because our lives are not that eventful, right? So with four of us, like it's like just enough to like fill up an episode maybe. But there's like so many things that have happened, like whether it's in college or like in the meantime, that like we've told all these stories that like I definitely don't remember like what the fuck we even said now. But like if I ever wanted to go through, I could literally just go episode by episode and just relive them, you know, and be like, oh shit, I forgot about that, or like. There's a bunch of people that we had on the podcast that like I don't think we've talked to in the past couple of years probably, but like they were kind of like maybe I don't know if it's bad to say this, but like they're kind of like a remnant of the past in the same way that like everyone kind of like outgrows.
Yeah, I mean like no one stays in contact forever.
But it's like cool to have that interaction like recorded, and like I can always visit that and like be like, oh shit, this happened. Like this was nice to have. And then like I mean like what Christian is saying, it's like it's literally just like we can literally follow through our lives for the past 3 years, which is like I think the past 3 years, like even though like the first two nothing really happened, or the first year and a half, but like especially now is like the next age of the podcast, like whereas like I just moved, Harsha just moved, Christian moved semi recently, and then like Haran's just about to, so like this is like the new age. And like just imagining like I could just send a link to my kid, like Spotify's not going anywhere, I can send a link to my kid or like whoever the fuck else that I want.
They want to hear you talk like this, bro?
No, they definitely don't. Once it's in it, don't listen. If you're my kid and you're listening to this right now, don't listen to episode 47. Don't listen to episode 47.
You think they have an attention span? Like it's already an hour and 25 minutes, bro. You think they got the attention span for this shit?
Maybe, I don't know. But it's cool like that. Like especially like another thing that I find like really, really interesting is like, I hope no one listening does this, but like if you go back to our old episodes, like their first 10 episodes,
they're really
so shit, dude.
Yeah.
We're like, what are we talking about this week? And then we're like, let's rank fast food places. So we'll be like, Wendy's,
so shit.
That shit's fire, man. And that's all the description we give. We're gonna give like items. We didn't give like any indicator, like any description of anything. So it's just cool to see like now how far we've come, I guess. Gang.
Harsha, what the fuck do you get out of this thing?
I think the main thing I take away from this is just being able to like stay in touch with these guys, because maybe it would have happened organically, but like not as often for sure. Especially when we're not together. So I think that's the biggest thing, and also like meeting all of our friends that we actually like don't know. Like we didn't know you. Like all of us didn't meet you, right? So like it's just nice to have that. And then like obviously looking back and like listening to this like 20 years later, be like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty cool in my 20s, you know? So just looking back on that and being able to like share with our kids and stuff.
I think like this being almost some sort of like that journal that Haran was talking about is actually super dope. And yeah, man, I think it's like, I mean, when Tarun told me that he has like his own pod and everything, and he does it with like his former college roommates, I was like, dude, that's super dope, super dope, because I think it's also just like a testament to your guys' friendships. So big ups to y'all.
Thanks, dog. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we were just saying, because like last week, Harsh's friend from Chicago was on, and she was giving us some compliments, and we're like, we don't know how to respond to this because none of us know how to take a compliment because we've never had to, because we've never got a compliment.
You just say, just say thank you, or if you really want to throw them off, you just say F you. And then, and yeah, you just keep it moving. Yeah. Because I hope that, like, you know, you guys also take a moment to step back to kind of realize all of this too. Because personally speaking, like, yeah, I'm like still super tight with a lot of my friends from college, but yeah, I mean, like it's like a FaceTime call maybe like once a month. Yeah. Even with like my closest friends. Yeah. Just because, yeah, like on a day-to-day basis, you just get consumed with the routine and whatever you've got going on. Yeah. So for you guys for doing this for damn near 3 years straight is crazy. Like I haven't even played a sport for 3 years straight. So like, that's wild since week 4 since starting. Cause yeah. So big ups to the consistency. And shit, man, I hope y'all take it somewhere too. I mean, when Tarun sent me that official, like, because when he first told me about the pod and everything, right? I'm thinking, all right, it's just like these 4 guys, just talking shit. Yeah, that's pretty much which is what it is, right? And then I came across like the Instagram account. And then Tarun sent me like the official guide, and I'm like, yo, what the? Whoa. I'm like, yo,
what am I signed up for?
It's a contract. I was like, my agent didn't tell me about this, bro. Yeah, my agent didn't tell me about this, So, I mean, it seems like you guys already have the foundation down. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really just a matter of like however much you want to put in what you guys want to get out.
Right. Yeah, that's the main thing. I think because there's been so much chaos with everybody's lives in the last like year and a half, we haven't had the bandwidth necessarily to like collectively. I think different people have at different times, like all 4 of us at once haven't had like the same like extra time to all focus on it at the same time. And so it's hard to do that like when it affects everybody, not just yourself. Like obviously like any one of us could go and like spend an hour doing this or that, right? But if we don't like make a plan about it, we don't like organize like how we want to do it, like the efficiency of it goes like way down. So it's definitely something we'll probably look at some point in the future. But yeah, there's definitely room for growth. I think it just goes back to what you said, is that we haven't necessarily put the behind the scenes hours into it, just because we have other priorities going on right now. So
for sure,
it'll definitely come along in the future. At least I hope so.
I think one thing we could do to immediately just get some more eyes is just like record video and then put it on TikTok. Like, it'd be as simple as that, and put some captions.
Yeah, just like the short clips.
Like 30-second, 40-second clips. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But then we all have to like dress up like Tarun is right now.
It's looking so sexy right now.
Oh, thank you. All right, man. So I think this is a good place to end. Appreciate you coming on today, and also asking us some insightful, thoughtful questions about us. It's not often, but obviously we enjoyed everything you had to say today. A lot of good stories. If you guys want to follow Ajay on Instagram, he will be linked in our Instagram at An Interesting Discussion. We also have posts and snippets there about all the other funny clips and things that happen on this podcast. So definitely check that out. We're everywhere that you can find a podcast. That's Spotify, Apple Podcast, Hulu, SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Yes, Be Real coming soon. I don't know. Yeah, that's it for this week. We will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.